Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And this is the other one of the flash videos I did last night that I'm following up on, and it is, of course, the most excellent news, the surprising and excellent news, that the judge has decided that Nicola Sturgeon's dirty little secrets, her knickerdoor of shame, must be thrown open, and that the revelations must come out. The truth must be told, and all the data must be presented to the inquiry. Everything that she said and did with regards, of course, to the Alex Salmond debacle, for the want of a better word. This will be embarrassing to her. This could, if the right information comes out, lead to Alex Salmond suing her personally, not just as the First Minister or the leader of a party, which would then be covered by the various insurances, legal insurances they take out. This would be her being done personally. Oh, isn't this delicious? We have to wait and see what does come out, of course, and whether she will try to push further sort of legitimate means of hiding it, or whether it will just be released. It's one of those, she's not going to give in with that fight, but it's another bit of good news, I think, for all of us who are the seekers of the truth. Which, of course, if you're here, you are. Do please hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Let's have a look at the story. Here goes. Yep, so as I said, I did the quick flash last night when that news broke. And so everyone kind of should be aware of the result. But it is an exceptionally good news result. So the SNP lose court case after the judge throws out the secrecy argument around Nicola Sturgeon's handling of the Alex Salmond scandal. Of course, it may be, and this is the important thing, it may be that all of this came up and arose directly from her suggestions, or that she pushed this, or she created the whole sort of environment in which this thing could thrive. And if that is shown to be true, and these papers and communications and things show this to be true, then she'll be a very, very worried woman with a little round puckering up behind her. The case ruling will mean that the SNP ministers will have either to find yet another excuse for holding on to the information that exempted their former leader, or they will be forced to publish the details. You know that they'll be sitting there now, busy, furiously shredding everything because they know how damaging it will be. And they, for some reason, are still protecting a woman who has caused so much damage to Scotland. But then, I suppose if it all comes out, they all know that the SNP will be finished and shown for what they are. Little more than a criminal organisation. And of course, if they do get sued to smithereens, they'll be a bankrupted criminal organisation. Hey-ho. Grab your popcorn, folks. This story is going to run. The Scottish Government has been told their reasoning behind withholding evidence gathered during an investigation into whether Nicola Sturgeon breached the ministerial code is not valid. In other words, you're spouting a load of crap trying to hide the truth from coming out, and that's not going to wash, says the judge. You got to release it. James Muir KC, the lawyer working on behalf of the Scottish ministers, argued that the written information gathered during an investigation into Miss Sturgeon's handling of complaints made against Alex Salmond should not be made public, but their argument has failed in court. They don't want any of this coming out because they know how prejudicial this will be to Sturgeon herself and therefore damaging to the SNP. This is why the cover-up. Again, all this openness, truth and transparency which the SNP continually spout is shown to be an utter bag of horse crap, isn't it? The court session ruled that ministers will have to revisit the Freedom of Information request that was rejected after they claimed the information was not held by them. And it clearly was. So they have actually lied. Hardly a surprise. Breaking news, SNP lies. Nobody's surprised. The Scottish Information Commissioner, who brought forward to the court challenge, ruled in January this year, following a review, that ministers were wrong. Well, of course they are. They're the SNP. They're wrong about everything, aren't they? Backing this view, opposing counsel David Johnson, KC, argued that it was wholly unrealistic and wholly unworkable. Miss Sturgeon referred herself to the independent advisor James Hamilton in 2019 over concerns she failed to record meetings and phone calls that she had with her predecessor Mr Salmond and his former chief of staff after he was the subject of complaints from the 2 civil servants. So not keeping not keeping records, as opposed to having legally to keep records of meetings. Why does she not want to keep them? Why does she not want to keep anything? Because she knows, and we know, that everything she does is toxic and nasty and dirty, subjected to the lowest forms of human nature. She's just a rotten human being, really, isn't she? And she wants to destroy everyone in her climb and desire for total and control. She must see herself as the Kim Jong-un of the Highlands or something. Well, certainly never the Highlands. Never actually goes to the Highlands, but the Kim Jong-un of Scotland. She wants total, complete, absolute control over every aspect of people's lives. She's so unsuited for power. An absolute sociopath, isn't she? Anyway, Mr. Hamilton investigated and issued a report in March 2021 in which he determined Miss Sturgeon did not breach the code. Mr. Harrop asked Scottish ministers 2 weeks later to be provided with all the written evidence gathered by Mr. Hamilton during his investigation. Ministers declined to hand over the information on 2 occasions, prompting Mr. Harrop to seek a review by the Information Commissioner. They have now appealed against that ruling and that there ought to be a review of their initial responses, arguing the Commissioner took too technical approach to the word held. It gets down to the spelling of things now, doesn't it? Ministers also argue that any disclosure of the written evidence would be detrimental to Mr. Hamilton's independence as an advisor, and the judge says, no, it won't. Mr. Muir told judges on Wednesday the Scottish Government stored information gathered by Mr. Muir purely on his behalf, and only his final report was ever meant to be published. He told the court, the report on his findings is the only document that ministers are entitled to receive from the advisor and the First Minister, or in the present case, the Deputy First Minister, and he had no right or interest to seek the information which may be contained in the written evidence provided to Mr. Hamilton. He said, it is my submission, but clear the information... It is in my submission, clear that the information is held on behalf of Mr. Hamilton and that the ministers have no control over it. And it remains either stored by Mr. Hamilton or stored on his behalf in a government IT system. It remains in the control of Mr. Hamilton. And of course, it's all being turned over by the court, who said, no, all the information must be made available. There is no, technicality, it's, yes, we've got it, but it belongs to him rubbish. It exists, it must be released, therefore. And it is just wonderful to behold. They've gone back and they are absolutely ruining the day that they started this, because this is the Streisand effect. Had they just gone and released it and let it go under the table, nobody would ever care about it. The very fact they've gone to court over this, everyone's interested now. It's the thing called the Streisand effect, where if you'd have just shut your mouth and just gone, there you go, and it would move on, nobody would have cared. Nobody. But now, everybody cares, because everyone knows what a sneaky bunch of sleekit wee shysters the SNP are. And look at the bags under her eyes. She's getting older. She's getting more tired. Oh, that's an old picture. But you see her every day. She's looking more and more haggard with all the stresses on her from the many, many different problems that she's having, all caused by her own sociopathy and desire for control. And it's wonderful. And I am round in there and coming up. The more they fight, the more they squirm and turn and try and obfuscate and hide and cover up, the more it becomes obvious that there is much, much more that needs to be released. They are so scared. And I keep saying it's the truth that will ultimately destroy them. The truth is so bad for them because everything they do is basically corrupt and wrong and illegal. They are an awful, awful bunch of people, and they're slowly being found out. And all we need to do is start jailing them. And you start low level, and you work your way up. You say, look, if you tell us the truth and tell us about who above you gets it, we'll let you go. Bang, bang, bang. That ladder will be climbed so quickly, and every awful thing that's ever happened will all come back to that very tiny cabal at the top, led, of course, by the Sturge. The scourge of the Sturge will come and bite you all. And it's no bad thing. I am finishing. Thank you very much for watching. This has been an excellent video. I do like good news videos to start the day. This has been a great one. Do hang around. There's many, many more stories to come. And if you haven't yet subscribed, bang and hit that button because it is news, the stuff you don't want to miss. It's that good today. Anyway, till later, I will speak to you and I will see you on and be safe and be good and just keep watching the news. Search for the truth and you will find it. Bye.